Yeah, you can start, Aditi.
Is my video?
Yes, your video is visible. You can start from the first time.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome you all to Prayana. Welcome you all to Prayana. Welcome everyone to the YouTube live session. Uh, Now let's have a look at Prayana. Prayana. Prayana, a unique employability, entrepreneurship, and innovation ecosystem for women. Prayana Lab gives wholesome career support, service right from career counseling, training, mentoring, and recruitment service under one umbrella. You, you can join us or register on www.prayana.in or download the app and register yourself. Prayana, Prakul, India's first e-commerce platform that is dedicated to the empowerment of women. The platform is uniquely designed with an attractive affiliate marketing model where all the customers are given an opportunity for lifetime savings and earnings. Post your query. How to interact? Post your queries at the live chat in our YouTube channel. The queries will be shared to the guest live and answered. Our guest for today, Ms. Pooja Bose, Principal, the High Range School, Munner, Kerala, will speak upon how women could deal with time and emotional management. Now let's have a look at Pooja Bose's profile. Pooja ma'am is an enthusiastic principal with a passionate for academic and students' development and history of success in developing effective strategies to overreach curriculum goals, accomplished in aligning academic and instructional visions and working in conjunction with professional, paraprofessional, and administrative staff to establish and maintain high-reaching standards, demonstrated leadership skills with the ability to capitalize in emerging instructional technologies to enrich lesson plans and instruction. Awards and recognitions. 21st Century Educational Leadership Award 2019 for Exceptional Educator by American Board. Dynamic Principal Award for Excellence in Academics by EduFeed Foundation. Token of Appreciation for National Seminar by Army Institute of Education. Moderator Award by EduTalk. Global Women Achievers Award by ECAS. Certificate for Appreciation awarded by Helois Educode. A certificate for appreciation and gratitude awarded by ACE Academic. A certificate of appreciation for the best presenter by AP EduTech 2020 Singapore. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Aditi. And thank you, Future Talk, for giving me this opportunity. So today we have a very interesting topic, which is pertaining to women. And I believe most of my audience are women today. So it's going to be relevant and probably useful for all the women because it has something to do with our emotions and our time. All of us do struggle to somehow balance our emotions and our time. And women are known to be a highly emotional species. We also have to juggle a lot. It's a common knowledge, and I don't have to go reiterate that we have to keep on juggling between our professional and domestic duties. And we struggle, and most of us feel, have a huge spectrum of emotions when it comes to dealing with our home, families, children, our offices, our professions, our careers, our education. So everything is kind of woven together. And the complexity also comes because we are highly emotional and we also feel a lot. So, there are various dilemmas and, complexes which we have to go throughout our lives. So before I, continue with my talk, I will share the screen with you and I have a small presentation. It will be really nice if all of us participate and talk about it. So I'm hoping that you all can see my screen. Is
Yes.
it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Right, right. Thank you so much. You know, an average Indian girl is brought up with a lot of care in her family. She's doted around by her parents and given good education too. But there is a clear cut, structuring of a life which is made something that reassures societal expectations are fulfilled by her, and she leads a life as per everybody's expectations. An average middle class parent knows how much he has to spend on his daughter's education and how much on his son's education. After all, she won't be the breadwinner of the family in future and has to be married lavishly too. She should be having a career, but not too much of it. Ambitions, but not too much of them. Then she has to get married and be a caring, loving member of the family. She should also continue to supplement her family income nonetheless. She has to be a professional in office and homely at home. She should be an ultimate balanced superwoman. Suppose she spends a late evening in office. I'm sure some of you must have done that. How do you feel when you come back home? What are the emotions that go on inside you? How does it feel to see your children or your husband and your in-laws? How do they see you at that moment? Most women feel very guilty about being ambitious. There's a constant tussle between being a perfect mother, wife, and daughter in law and a professional. You all know that in office, women also are expected to be calm, composed, mature, and in control of the situation by compromising and adjusting. To do it all is not very easy. She's doing a constant juggling in her mind and outside. So today we are going to explore all of these emotions, and probably we will be able to come to certain conclusions as to how we can be best at handling them. So why do women need to manage their time and emotions better? I have this, you know, uh, beautiful video by Deepa Narayan, and she talks about the 7 beliefs that can silence women and how to unlearn them. And some of them are very poignant and hard hitting. So I think all of you need to introspect when you're listening to her. A 10 minutes video. So I hope you all enjoy it. Just 1 second. Is it not visible?
Yeah, there was a block on the screen.
All right. Is it possible for Aditi to share the video with us?
I'll do it right away. Ma'am.
Silence, girl.
We can stop sharing. Yeah. So after this very poignant video, this talk, I think all of us must be thinking to ourselves as to how we subconsciously are participating in this discrimination, in this gender parity, and how we don't even become aware of the kind of biases that we carry with ourselves. So now, moving on with my topic at hand. The society in which we live has certain expectations from men and women. And let us today talk about middle class setup, because that's where we belong. And let us try to see what are these expectations and disguises. For men, displaying anger is acceptable and justified. But for women, displaying anger makes us irrational, layer of daily responsibility that is hardly discussed. One which falls disproportionately on women, and this is called emotional labor. Finally, confronting it could be a revolutionary step, and maybe today we will achieve partially that. In a work context, emotional labor refers to the expectation that a worker should manipulate either her actual feelings or the appearance of her feelings in order to satisfy the perceived requirements of a job. Emotional labor also covers the requirement that a worker should modulate her feelings in order to influence the positive experience of a client or a colleague. I'll give you a small example. Women in offices are expected to be pleasant. Women in offices are expected to be receptive, expected to compliment the people who come. They are expected to look after guests well. So this is emotional labor which is attached to their gender. You know, they are given those roles wherein they are expected to be harmonious, pleasant, be there, present, but not too much of it. You should be charming, but you should be tolerant. And you should volunteer to do menial tasks such as making coffee or printing documents. Women all across the world are living in constant scare. The threat of harm is a human constant, but by any reasonable measure, it is very much there. Everywhere, especially on college campuses, young women are being taught that they are vulnerable, fragile, and in imminent danger. New trauma, which is centered feminism, has taken hold. Its primary focus is not equality with men, but rather protection from them. Women all around the world today are contending with practices such as honor killings, genital mutilations, acid burning, child marriage, and gender apartheid. It's a reality around us. Whether we talk about it, whether we discuss it, whether we recognize it, nonetheless, it is very much there. The biggest challenge which working women face is navigating career opportunities while maximizing motherhood. That means they have to be best at being a mother and they have to be good being in office. The other issue is that women are not being treated equally either at home nor neither at home nor in offices. Women want to be treated as equals and not sequels. Ms. Narayanan also talked about sisterhood. That is, that we should be united. We should stand together. We should support each other. The sisterhood would be very necessary and powerful in order to build a community of women who stand for a cause and who fight for a cause and who vocalize a cause. It's very easy for the world to crush a woman who's all alone. It's certainly more difficult if women hold each other's hands and stand for a cause and promote each other, encourage each other to rise in life. We talk about something which most women feel, great pride in saying, that they really don't bother about money. They really, I've heard so many times that I'm not working for money. I'm just working because I like to work. Well, money, my dear friend, solves many problems. It gives you a lot of freedom and a lot of choices. My advice would be to focus on activities which generates revenue wherever you are. And by the way, a study has shown that startups which were founded and co-founded by women return 78% invested per dollar invested versus male-founded startups which return 31% dollar invested. So women definitely are better at, investing and better at generating revenue than men. Only 8% of partners at the biggest venture capital firms in the US are women. This is the data of United States, the most progressive and developed country of the world. Companies with women founders have garnered only about 2% of all capital invested. How about being confident? One of the biggest challenges is that women are not confident about themselves. We need to get comfortable knowing that people will always try to take you off your game or dislike you for no apparent reason. But if you go in knowing this, if you're clear on your purpose and what you are trying to achieve, then you will be successful in getting what you want. Have faith in yourself. Have confidence in yourself. It is not enough to be in a role or to sit at a table. One must also speak confidently, regardless of odds faced. Women leaders fear being ostracized or rejected. However, respect comes when one's voice is heard. Just adorning a position, just taking over a chair or an appointment is not enough. When you take it up, you need to speak, your voice should be heard, your opinions should be valued, and all this will come when you have the ability to speak confidently against, regardless of the odds that you are facing. Building alliances with decision makers. Now, this is very interesting because women have often been put down so much, pushed aside so much, or told that they don't belong at the table. It is very easy to bully them, but there's a way to get past this situation. It is suggested that women build healthy relationships with advocates, create a strong personal brand, establish guidelines before each project, and position themselves as experts in their fields and communicate with confidence. It's not just enough to speak. It is the things that you speak, the content that you speak, and how much actual knowledge you have about the things that you're talking about, which will actually make a difference. If you are prepared, if you've done your homework well, if you've made your reports well, then obviously you will be in a position of power. You will be in a favorable position and people will listen to you. So empty words are not enough. You need to have some substance in what you're doing and what you're saying. Asking for money. Women are often found reluctant in asking for money or salaries, not charging enough, being afraid to ask, being underpriced, and marketing and promoting and bragging to establish authority, and giving away their services for free is very, very common. She Economics, it's a study, and the results of She Economics says that this online survey was conducted between February 2010 and March 2010 and answered by 250 men and women. And women are generally paid less than men, and many employers continue to perpetuate this inequality. Although a change in law and practice is needed to lever greater pay parity, we were interested in the extent to which underpayment of females might also be perpetuated by women's own attitudes to what they are worth and their willingness to demand equal pay. Pay attention to the fact that the reason why women are being paid less is not because men perpetuate it, but also that women perpetuate this inequality through their own attitudes as well. These are the key findings from this study, that men are twice as likely as women to feel happy about asking for money. More than 8 out of 10 women don't like asking for money. 9 out of 10 women find asking for money embarrassing. Women are 2.5 times more likely than men to find pay negotiating humiliating. More men than women think the best strategy is to demand firmly. Twice as many men than women would threaten to resign in order to get more money. More women prefer to ask in a polite and friendly way, and men would rather ask another male for money, so would women. 60% of men approach pay negotiations with confidence compared to just 38% of women. Some women leaders shy away from speaking on their accomplishments for fear of being boastful or conceited. Women tend to think that it's needed to shrink themselves to seem non-intimidating. It's very common to hear that although she's so capable, yet she's so modest. She's so humble. That means women are expected not to brag about their achievements at all. So there is this imposter syndrome, which is very, very common. The biggest challenge is an inability to internalize their accomplishments. Basically, imposter syndrome is a feeling that whatever you've achieved in your life, whatever success you've got in your life, you really didn't deserve that. That's an imposter syndrome. And inside you, deep inside you, you have this feeling, this guilt that you are not the actual you should not be given the credit for all the achievements and success that you've achieved in your life. To the root of why this belief exists, then adjust their locus of control by making accurate assessments of their performance, then get feedback from other leaders to confirm their strengths. So we always look at our colleagues, our peers, to reaffirm whether we really have done well or not. We ourselves do not gauge our own strengths. By tackling imposter syndrome, they are able to better develop their leadership. So once you understand that such a syndrome exists, you will be able to better develop your leadership skills. Pardon my this spelling mistake in the second imposter syndrome. And it is said that women who experience imposter syndrome maintain a strong belief that they are not intelligent. In fact, they are convinced that they have fooled anyone who thinks otherwise. So they themselves don't believe in their intellect. They themselves don't believe in their capacities to excel. And this is very, very common. How do you transform emotions to emotional intelligence? So it is no secret that women have higher EQ than men. But women are emotional beings, and sometimes it is playing heavily on them also. Women are emotional beings, but that is also an added advantage. Emotions are not always a disadvantageous thing. Sometimes they can be used as an advantage and they can be well managed. So if you perceive your emotions, if you understand your emotions well, and if you manage your emotions well, and you use your emotions well, then you will be termed as an emotionally intelligent creature. Time management and women. Well, do you feel stuck, like you're constantly running around, but never really accomplishing what you want? It's a question, but we all know the answer to this. Because after the emotional management comes the time management, and that's where most of us struggle. Despite being busy from morning till evening and night, we still can't accomplish what we want. There is an incredible pressure to juggle work and family responsibilities. Indian parents and in-laws are not really supportive. So a typical Indian woman's day begins 2 hours before everyone else. Cooking, packing lunch, making breakfast, sending kids off to school, and only then does she get a chance to get ready for her own day at work. Leading by example, if you understand that children are often miniature versions of their parents, look at your own practice and what message you are giving to your children about absorbing when it comes to time management. If you are chaotic in your entire day, then obviously your children will imbibe the same habits. And adults who are always running late, if you are not punctual, then you're the people around you, the youngsters around you, your students, your children will think that this is the norm. Set a plan. Create a chart with key items they need to action at different points in the day. This can be as simple as getting dressed, cleaning your teeth, packing your bag, or a more detailed plan adding chores and homework. The key is to identify when tasks need to be done and having time next to each task. So if you sit down for 5 to 10 minutes in a day, in early morning, and you plan your day by making a to-do list, I think that goes a long way in making your day, more structured and smooth transition from one task to the other. Think ahead. You have to visualize. You have to foresee what's coming in. That is the key to anybody who wants to succeed as a leader. If you don't foresee, if you don't think, at least a week in advance, then you will be unprepared for any eventuality. So think ahead. Tidy up. If you keep things tidy, your children, your students will be more likely to see that as a standard. Everything should have its place, and if possible, evenings should be spent doing a quick tidy up to get everything the way it should be for the next morning. Encourage children to keep their room and play area tidy. Declutter a few times in a year to remove the unneeded items. So tidying up is so important. And if you look around your own room, your study table, your bookshelf, your kitchen shelf, you will know the answer as to how tidy you are and what is the message you are giving to others. Women, you don't have to do it all. You have to learn to say no to things too. Most importantly, you have to be kind to yourself, because even the most organized adults have days when things don't go as per the plan. So don't feel that you are a superwoman. Nobody is. And you have your days when things don't go well, but you also have days when things go extremely well. So be kind and generous to yourself first, and respect yourself and respect your own emotions. Do not ever let anyone make you feel like you don't matter, or like you don't have a place in your American story, in our case, our own story, because you do. And you have a right to be exactly who you are. So don't make yourself invisible. So now I have this wonderful video. I hope you're all able to hear and see it. And this is for, women who have broken the stereotypes and made a difference to the world, and also made people gasp and surprised people around them.
If we show emotion, we're called dramatic. If we want to play against men, we're nuts. And if we dream of equal opportunity, delusional. When we stand for something, we're unhinged.
It's Sue Bird's gonna need to calm down.
When we're too good, there's something wrong with us. And if we get angry, we're hysterical, irrational, or just being crazy. But a woman running a marathon was crazy.
Officials tried to pull her off the course.
A woman boxing was crazy. A woman dunking? Crazy. Coaching an NBA team? Crazy. A woman competing in a hijab, changing her sport, landing a double cork 1080, or winning 23 Grand Slams, having a baby, and then coming back for more? Crazy, 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 and crazy. So if they want to call you crazy, fine. Show them what crazy can do.
So that was the message, that let others think what they want to, but you have to go and achieve your dreams, and you have to be an achiever, and you have to believe in yourself and not make yourself invisible. And That will be possible only if you manage your time, if you manage your emotions, if you manage your relationships well. And at the same time, you need to respect your own self and be kind to yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for speaking on this topic and addressing our viewers. I hope this session could have proven informative for all of us. Now we come to the question and answer session. Our viewers have posted few questions. It could be great if you answer them.
Please go ahead.
How do you celebrate success?
I celebrate success by being happy and with the people who have been instrumental in my success, with them.
Okay, ma'am. How do you respond when a co-worker challenges you?
It's good to be challenged by co-workers. Without challenge, there is no fun in working. And challenges are everywhere, not just by the co-workers actually. Challenges are found very intrinsically by our own friends, our peers, our families, and situations. So sometimes challenges are all around you and you can't help them, but challenges are the ones which make things exciting. So it's fun to be challenged.
Have you ever had a change your behavior either at work or home? If so, why did you have to change and how did you change?
Behavior is there to change. I mean, every time you can't have the same behavior and you can't be the same person because you're a human being. So you have a wide spectrum of emotions which are there, within you. And there are times when you change according to the situation. But having said that, behaviors may change, but values don't change. So when intrinsically and you know as a human being, you have certain traits, you have certain values, which you always will have. And externally, because of the situations and the need of the hour, you may change your behavior. But what is necessary is that you're a principled person. You are grounded in your own values and you look at the world around you from that prism. So, behavior can be sometimes loving, sometimes not so loving, sometimes firm, sometimes affirmative, sometimes not very positive. But the values, the attitudes, and at the end of the day, if you mean well to the people around you, I think they'll respect you for what you are.
What's something you have achieved that you are most proud of it and why?
I'm very proud of so many things that I've achieved. I've been able to be what I am today because that's the vision I had about myself, say around 20 years ago. And because of the support of my family and because of the support of my circumstances, I've been able to achieve and be where I am. So I am very happy about it. I'm proud about it. And but I am not satisfied. So I have a lot of other goals to achieve, and I have to keep moving on and on and on.
Um, how do you de-stress after a bad day at work?
Okay, bad day or good day, you have to de-stress. So I go for walks. I go for long walks. I play. And I think that sports is the ultimate de-stressor. And I have my dogs. I play with them. So they are also a great source of de-stressing. So that's my secret of de-stressing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. Thank you all. The question posted in our viewers. I hope this could have been answered to all our queries. Now,
Aditi, thank you.
thank you, ma'am. feedback. Do share your feedback to our YouTube channel and comment. For advertisements and sponsorship, mail us joinprayana@gmail.com. Thank you.
So thank you all the women and all the audience and all the heroines who have been there watching me. And I hope that some of the things which I've talked today would be of some relevance and would, there would be some sort of takeaway from today's session. And you will, because everything that we discussed today and spoke about today is something which is very real and which is very omnipresent around us. Yet we don't recognize it as much. And I don't think that 8th of March is the only day when we should be talking about these subjects and these issues. I think we should go on talking about them repeatedly, sensitizing people, men and women around us about these relevant subjects. And most importantly, we should also discuss these in our own families and our own staff rooms and our own office rooms, so that people don't forget what we talk about and what is feminism and what is liberation. So I hope it makes sense to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.